Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Neutron Perspectives, and today we're going to be discussing episode 2 of the adventures of Jimmy Neutron, Normal Boy / Birth of a Salesman. So, as I mentioned last week, we are going to be looking at 2 episode segments for this video. Why? Well, that's because Jimmy Neutron, for the most part, typically had that as their setup for their episodes. That wasn't the case for, every episode in the series. There are some episodes that are typical 22-minute episodes that do span across a half hour with commercials. But a good chunk of their episodes were usually just 2 stories that were combined together into one single episode. And as such, how I'm going to be handling those videos is that, well, like my vlogs for Steven Universe and Over the Garden Wall, I'm going to be looking at both segments in one video, as technically speaking, both segments are considered 2 halves of the same episode. However, like with my vlogs of Steven Universe and Over the Garden Wall, I'm going to be looking at those episodes in the same fashion, basically doing plot summaries for both segments and then giving my thoughts on them after I'm done with them. So, with that all said, Normal Boy. So, the premise of this episode is that Jimmy is getting a little sick of being a genius, as despite all the benefits that it's brought him, it also comes with a few detriments and downsides. Case in point, when his inventions don't work, it leads to major disaster, as while trying to suck oranges out of a nearby tree near his house, he accidentally messes up this kitchen, brings to a Juice-O-Matic 5000 that he created. And likewise at school, while the inventions there typically are, for the most part, pretty damn impressive, well, it makes all the other students look bad, and they resent Jimmy as a result. As such, Jimmy just is thinking that him being so intelligent is more of a detriment than a boon. However, he does kind of have an idea to try and fix this, as when he gets home, he creates a helmet called the Brain Drain device, or Brain Drain 3000, I don't know. Point is, when you put it on your head, all you have to do is just adjust this little knob that goes with it, and it will basically just reduce or increase your intelligence depending on how and where you put the knob. Like, there's one that makes you as smart as Einstein, one that makes you like Benstein, one that makes you a normal boy, and one that makes you pretty much an idiot. And as such, Jimmy intends to set the device so that he's as smart as any other kid, but the knob ends up short-circuiting and ends up going a little too far and basically just reduces Jimmy's intelligence to that of a common termite. He's just stupid, illogical, doesn't know where he is at any given time. It's actually a little uncomfortable, I guess. Point is, Jimmy's just a stone-cold moron, and Carl and Sheen end up having fun with this, as they were there when the initial experiment went down, so they just see Jimmy being stupid. As such, they begin messing with Jimmy, having fun with him, trying to playing the got-your-nose gag, and he buys it, pretend to throw a frisbee, and he basically spends hours looking for it. It's basically just a complete and utter mess. But things kind of go downhill as the next day, when Jimmy is showcasing his lack of intelligence to the class, everyone knows that there's a fucking meteorite coming down to the Earth. Why? Well, remember going back to that earlier experiment I mentioned, how Jimmy tried to literally suck oranges out of a tree, when he tried to fix it by reversing it, but that's what led to the kitchen getting messed up, as it began sucking things out of the kitchen, and as a result, it wound up ejecting things into space, and, well, wound up hitting a space rock that was passing by the Earth, and, well, now it's coming to destroy the planet. As such, the mayor of Retroville ends up going right to the Retroville Elementary and basically tasks Jimmy with fixing this mess while he and his cabinet go to a super safe bunker beneath the city. But Jimmy is so dumb that he can't even tie his own shoes at this point. And so he's compelled to try and fix this, well, he can't even do so much as a brain blast, as the only thing he ends up thinking about is one of those monkeys with the cymbal hands. As such, Carl and Sheen do end up spilling the beans that Jimmy made himself stupider, and as such, when Cindy hears this, she has Carl and Sheen drag her and Jimmy back to the lab, and sure enough, she is able to figure out the brain drain device and reverse it so that Jimmy gets his intelligence back. As such, Jimmy is able to repel the meteor as he gets his rocket set up, which in this case is the exact same rocket that he had in the Jimmy Neutron movie. I guess Retroville let him keep the rocket ride. Don't know why, but whatever. He saved the city. I guess that's the least they can do. And at the end, he ends up sticking one of his inventions onto the front of it, which in this case was the science experiment that he showed in school earlier, which was basically meant to be a magnet. It was basically supposed to be an anti-grav dinner tray, as it had magnets implanted in it that would interact with magnets that are put in these plates and basically just make them float. And as such, he used the magnets in the plates to basically just repel a meteor, as he fixes them to the rocket, flies them to the rocket, and has the magnets from them affect the metals in the meteor and send it flying into space. As such, the day is saved. Jimmy is actually thankful for his intelligence because, hey, it saved the day at the end of the day. And as such, And as such, Cindy ends up cursing out Jimmy when he refuses to give her any credit for the win. And after Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen tried to do a loopy dance, because that's what dumb Jimmy did, they get uncomfortable doing it and decide, maybe we shouldn't do this anymore, so... But anyway, this brings us to Birth of a Salesman. And what's going on in this episode is that the Retroville Elementary is having a candy selling contest. And while the kids at first don't really seem enthused about this, well, they immediately change their tune when they learn that the prize for this is a VIP trip to Retroland. As such, of course, all the kids want to get in on this. All of them think this is going to be fun. But of course, Jimmy and Cindy end up making it a personal competition because both of them want to win, because both of them want that trip, with even Jimmy wanting to bring Carl and Sheen as his plus ones, plus twos. I don't know. I don't care. Point is, Jimmy and Cindy end up butting heads about it, and unfortunately, Cindy's gonna win this because she actually knows how to sell things. She apparently was in the Girl Scouts, and for 3 years she was basically a top seller for cookies, but she was forced to retire, and so she wasn't able to keep that streak going beyond that. And as such, while Jimmy tries selling his candies by presenting hard facts, all it really does is get the door slammed in his face, while Cindy basically plays on the emotions of all the customers and even puts on performances to compel them to want to buy the candy. As such, Jimmy sees this and realizes, okay, my approach sucks, need a new strategy on this, which in turn leads to the, birth of a salesman, as he ends up creating a sales bot, basically, whose main purpose is to just sell, sell, sell. It will not take no for an answer. Once it has you in its sights, it will not leave you alone until you bought candy, no questions asked. As such, Jimmy gets the sales bot all ready to go, and it does seem to be doing its job, as it begins selling candy left and right and actually making Jimmy's quota. So, hey, everything seems to be working out. The only problem is that Jimmy really should have put in a few limits put at least some limits on what it's willing to do in order to get a sale. Because in order to sell candy to people, it begins hawking Jimmy's stuff. Like, going back to that first customer it saw, the guy only agreed to buy candy from him if the sales bot included Goddard in the purchase. Likewise, while the sales bot does seem to make a lot of legitimate purchases, a lot of legitimate sells with all the candy it's selling, it immediately turns its attention to Carl and Sheen once Jimmy's out of earshot, and basically tries to sell them candy under the pretense that they'll get Jimmy's rocket. After that, while Jimmy goes to Cindy and tries gloating, all it takes is for him to see Carl and Sheen flying around his rocket and make him realize, okay, what's going on? As such, he gets back to his house, and sure enough, the sales bot is basically hosting a yard sale in front of his house as it sells candy combined with the pretense that whoever buys candy gets one of Jimmy's inventions, just with no strings attached. Hell, we even see the general in the beginning of the Jimmy Neutron movie as he just throws Jimmy's jetpack into the back of his truck and drives off. As such, Jimmy justifiably gets pissed as he goes up to the sales bot and tries to tell him to knock this shit off. In response, the sales bot tries to have an auction for Jimmy. That's several kinds of illegal, but whatever. People begin bidding on him. Cindy ends up trying to buy Jimmy for 25 cents. Sheen for 50 cents. His dad for $1. Cindy ends up going for $2, and she would have won the auction. But thankfully, Jimmy finds a way out of this as he has a brain blast. As you see at the beginning of the episode, Jimmy did display a new invention. In this case, it was gum called book gum. Basically, it's gum that looks like books that, once you actually eat the gum, it's supposed to basically inject all the contents of the book into your head. So, like, if you got a piece of gum that looks like Moby Dick, you eat it, tastes a little fishy, and then suddenly you know the entire plot of Moby Dick. Likewise, William Shakespeare or some other story that I don't know because I don't know all classic literature. Point is, you eat it, you immediately become knowledgeable about it. However, there is a downside. If you eat too many gum, or if you take too much at once, your brain will get overloaded with too much information. So that's what Jimmy does, is he offers the sales bot a whole handful of this gum, and the sales bot just takes it because, hey, it's free. It overloads his circuits, and I think he dies. Kind of morbid, but hey, he was hawking Jimmy's stuff. What do I care? As such, we then cut back to the Retroville Elementary as basically, obviously, they had to deduct a few points from Jimmy and recalculate some stuff because odds are some of the sales genuinely weren't legitimate, but at least a good chunk of them were. As well, it's a tie between Jimmy and Cindy. They both get the VIP trip, which neither of them are happy with. And by the end of the episode, we see them in one of the rides in Retroland as they're both just complaining about not having fun with the other. And I think Jimmy tries to take Cindy out the same way he did a sales bot because he offers her gum. So what can you do? But yeah, that was Normal Boy and Birth of a Salesman. My thoughts on both segments. Well, Normal Boy, I don't know how to feel about this one. It's kind of a weird beast in a way. And this one, again, kind of going back to how I felt, how the first episode of the series, when Pants Attack was definitely more silly and dumb, this one definitely goes more overt in that regard. As it's basically just, what if Jimmy was stupid? And that's kind of the whole running gag with it. I will at least say this. I do kind of buy why Jimmy would want to reduce his intelligence. Because while for Jimmy, all of his everything that he's built with his higher than average IQ is second nature, he's not blind to how other people perceive him. It's part of why he does like to impress the other students every once in a while. It's why he still acts like a normal kid, despite the fact that he's got a secret lab underneath his house. Well, not really secret, but you get what I mean. My point is that Jimmy is aware of how people react to him, and he is aware of that when things go wrong, they go really wrong. Case in point, when his mother rightfully chews him out for how his juice-o-matic and wound up literally destroying the kitchen, he obviously feels bad, and while he did offer to clean everything up, his mom told him, no, just hit the road right now. I think I've had enough of your intelligence for one day. And I think that what even further sells what making Jimmy want to be normal is that his mom says that sometimes she wishes that he wasn't so smart. And I kind of love that, because sometimes comments from parents can hit very hard when you're that age. So of course that would be a major deciding factor. And likewise, it would make sense why when Jimmy went to school and once more showed off, why the kid's reactions to his inventions would probably even push him further down into that hole. Because, well, again, Jimmy does not hate the other students in his school. He's like I said, he is a normal kid, and while he does like to show off every now and then, he's not a bad kid. He's very humble with what he does. So to have his latest invention in science basically show up the other kids without really meaning to, you can understand why Jimmy would get upset when everyone else gets upset. And it's not like he's trying to hog the spotlight. To him, this is just like second nature, a parlor trick. But to them, this is some really impressive shit, which in turn raises the bar for them because they're average intelligent children. They can't do that kind of shit. They can't make a food tray where the plates will literally float. They make science fair volcanoes. They present fucking hot dog buns as their science projects. No joke, that was Carl's. He tried selling it as something bigger, but it was very stupid. Or likewise, they present a skull. I don't know why that was Libby's project, but hey, something, I guess. It's a conversation starter. Point is, for them, these are as much as they can do. While for Jimmy, this stuff is just second nature. So I kind of like how we can see that showcased with Jimmy. He's not trying to hog the spotlight. It's just that the spotlight is naturally attracted to him, and obviously while he does enjoy the benefits of being intelligent, well, the negative social aspects don't make him want to possibly just be, well, for lack of a better term, stupider for a day. And I actually do appreciate that. And I actually do like that by the end of the episode, the moral is that Jimmy basically realizes that, yeah, it sometimes comes with problems, but him being intelligent is not a detriment. It's actually very helpful, as it was because of him that that Retroville was saved. And I like that. I genuinely like that. I like that, and hell, I like that they actually repurposed the magnetic plates that he created for his science project and used that as a means of repelling the meteorite or asteroid. I don't know. I think it's meteorite. I'm guessing. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's probably meteorite, but again, not sciencey. I'm stupid. But my point is, I at least do like that. I at least do like that, and I do like that that's the lesson by the end. Basically, appreciate what you have, even if sometimes it can feel like a hindrance. And I do like that. What I find a little bit more uncomfortable is possibly the middle segment when Jimmy is all around stupid, because keep in mind that this cartoon was made around the early 2000s, so there are some jokes that probably wouldn't fly nowadays. And I think that when Jimmy was stupid would probably be one of those, because, yeah, this is definitely one of the... This episode kind of falls into the stereotypes of what you think someone who is mentally challenged would fall into. Because, oh my god, they really make Jimmy look stupid in this one. Once his intelligence is drained, he ends up freaking out because he ends up going, oh, look at this shiny, when he looks at the antenna on the knob that was connected to the helmet. Likewise, he falls for the stupidest, most mundane things, and and throughout the entire episode, he has this dumb face. He has this dumb face going, duh. Like, it's clearly just meant to make fun of the fact that he's just stupid. Just a very stupid kid. And yeah, I won't deny it's still, again, it's one of those things that I think possibly hasn't aged well. I can't speak for the majority of fans on this one, but speaking at it with modern sensibilities, if I had children and I let them watch this episode and I saw this on TV, I think there would be a part of me that goes, can't believe they actually put that on TV. But, so, yeah, in some respects, I don't think this segment has aged well. Do I think it's awful? I wouldn't go that far, I guess. It's just that at the same time, like with When Pants Attack, this is a little uncomfortable, but for different reasons. When Pants Attack was just felt like it just felt uncomfortable because of the subject matter. This one feels uncomfortable because it feels like it's trying to play on a stereotype and trope that unfortunately kind of provokes negative viewpoints. Now, I'm not saying that I speak I'm not saying I speak for the general populace here. This is just my inference, and I could be talking out of my ass on this. I want to make that abundantly clear. I am not the most educated when it comes to these things. Do I want to learn more? Yes, I do. And sometimes I'm on the right track and know what I'm talking about. Other times I am very much just wrong and need to be educated. It's just that this is what I feel. It's just that this is what these are the points that I'm coming to after watching it. And my points are basically, I don't think this would fly because it feels a little offensive and plays more on stereotypes. So I do consider that a problem. So yeah, I think that's a flaw. I do believe that might be a flaw. Now again, could be wrong on this one. I'm not going to say the episode is bad. It just feels uncomfortable. There is some humor to be had. There is some humor to be had, especially when Jimmy's friends decide to take advantage of his stupidity because they're kind of jerks. But likewise, I do like the conflict that we have in the episode. I do like how we get to that point in the conflict, and I do like the resolution when Jimmy does decide that maybe it is better to be overly intelligent, because even if there are problems with it, it's at least nice to cherish what you have. So I will give you that. I do think that that's a good finale. It's just the middle portion is definitely makes me go, okay, why? As for Birth of a Salesman, however, I think this is an enjoyably goofy episode, and I think this is what I wanted to see when it came to Jimmy Neutron, because, oh my sweet god, I love the sales bot in this episode. I think that this thing is just, this one definitely plays on stereotypes, but in the best way possible, because the sales bot is meant to just be every pushy door-to-door salesman who wants to get his foot in the door and will not leave you alone until you buy his cheap crap, and I love it. I just genuinely love it. I love that the reason why this thing goes haywire is just because because, as Jimmy said, it was programmed to not take no for an answer. It basically is just determined to make the sale no matter what. And so if you're telling it, get lost, its way of trying to get a sale is like, well, what if I included this thing free of charge? And I love seeing this thing just get desperate and just going rogue, essentially, as it is in its attempts to try and sell all of Jimmy's stock. It's selling all of his stock, all of his inventions, all of these things that Jimmy made for his own personal use. This thing is going, well, that's all, you want it, go and take it. You get some candy, but you had to buy some candy too. And I don't know. I love that. It's just so stupid. I love the conflict with Jimmy and Cindy too. It feels like something that a child would do. And I love Cindy's attempts to sell candy in the episode. It's again playing on how some salesmen like to manipulate customers, and her attempts are so unbelievably fake that you can't help but kind of laugh at them. And I just kind of like see, and as such, I love seeing the conflict with her and Jimmy. And I just kind of love how Jimmy's attempts to try and sell the candy is just to present objective facts about the candy, which, yeah, I won't lie, I would get a little bored with that too. Although I feel like there would at least be one person that says, if I buy candy, will you leave me alone? So, I don't know, I kind of like that, and honestly, I find the resolution to be kind of funny. I do genuinely believe, like, seeing Jimmy and Cindy just in Retroland and just complaining that they have to share this trip with each other is amusing, although I will say that there was no stipulation that they had to go on the same rides together. They just get a VIP trip of Retroland, and if there was enough and if there were enough resources and present that it could be a tie, why don't they just do their own things? That doesn't mean they have to interact with each other. All they have to do is probably just go through the gate and then just do whatever the hell they want. There's no rule that says they have to hang out together. So, I don't know. Clearly they can bring extras along, because Jimmy was planning to bring Carl and Chi with him on his VIP trip. So why don't they both just go to Retroland, invite some friends, and they both can have their own days out? I don't know. Feels weird, I guess. It's humorous, I admit, but still weird. Whatever, I don't get it. Point is, though, the the episode's fun. It's a fun one. And this is, I think, and I feel like Birth of a Salesman is exactly what I want from Jimmy Neutron. It is goofy, it's silly, but it's fun and enjoyable. I love seeing the salesbot in action. I love seeing the kids go to the lengths they are just to win their stupid contest. I love seeing how Jimmy takes down the salesbot with the book gum, which I think is really creative. And believe it or not, the plot with the book gum actually got made into a children's book. I think I got it when I was a kid, but I think I've sadly lost that book, so I really can't give you any more details, and I barely read it as it is. I just like the pictures, okay? My point is, I like that resolution. I liked the resolution there. And again, seeing the process of this thing going rogue and just hawking all of Jimmy's shit, it's a fun time. I love it. It's just a good time. So, yeah, Birth of a Salesman, I think, is appropriately goofy in the best way possible. It's silly, it's dumb, but it's fun in that. But it's a whole load of fun, and I do recommend that part. So, yeah, on the whole, normal boy, good beginning, good end, pretty damn uncomfortable middle, and I kind of don't see that flying in today's market, because why would it? It's a little offensive. Likewise, though, again, could be talking out my ass. Don't know if I am, but if I am, please let me know so I can be educated. And likewise, Birth of a Salesman, just some goofy fun, and I enjoyed it. So that one, I think, is definitely a good example of Jimmy Neutron's fun silliness. So, yeah, on the whole, first segment, enjoyably goofy second. So that's really all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed the video. I thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I hope to see you next week for episode 3. So till then, have a good Friday, and take care.